So I wanted to tell you all my story. Basically, for those that are interested, I was born premature. I was only 2 pounds when I was born. My twin and I do have a twin sister as well who was born premature along with me. We were both born legally blind, and we were born to basically two teenagers who did not know how to take care of special needs children. We both had eye surgery to try to correct the damage done to our eyes, and such. But unfortunately, I also had heart surgery when I was just days old. And what happened was, sometime during that time, my twin sister was shaken by my biological father and ended up being basically brain damaged, where she couldn't walk, talk, speak, feed herself, etc. And we were both later put into foster care and then adopted. Basically, we then adopted my two other sisters, who, basically later on when I was like 6 or 7, I can't remember. And then basically, around that time, my adoptive mom's first husband, was using heroin, which I had never seen, like, basically the after effects of. Basically, when he wanted to get his drugs, he was really angry when he was without them. And then basically, due to that, my mom divorced him. And then we ended up moving to Sherwood when I was in my early teens, preteens. And then she remarried to an awesome guy, which I now call Dad. Because unfortunately, due to my mom's first husband's drug use, he was in and out of jail continually, and so I have no contact with him whatsoever now, since I have no idea where he is. And then when I was in my early 20s, I started corresponding with my biological mom more, and then ended up moving in with her in Bend, Oregon. And little did I know that she was a user and a narcissist. She basically would use my money to get whatever she wanted, basically. When she wanted to get her dog out of the Humane Society, she used my money. When she wanted to order out, she used my money, along with other things. And then she ended up moving to Biggs Junction and moved in with a complete creep, which I found out from just being there for 2 weeks that he was basically a perv. He wanted me to sleep in the nude out in his living room, when all of his guy friends would notice, because his guy friends were over all the time. He tried to get me to watch porn with him, which is why I'm happy that I ended up staying in Bend, and my birth mom ended up moving in with him. And then later I started going to Mission Church in Bend, I started going to the Redmond campus first, and then I started going to the Mission Church campus here in Bend, I think 2 years now, and I just fell in love with the awesome people. I love my church family. And around the same time, my birth mom wanted to move back in with me, but I for a while, for like a few months, I was trying to find places in Eugene, Oregon, because it was cheaper there at the time, and I wasn't finding anything. And so I was seeking counsel from friends of mine at church, and one of my friends that I talked to in Florida, who was a Facebook friend, basically said, I think God's trying to tell you something. And so that's when I got up the courage to tell my birth mom, whose name is Chris, I don't want to move in with you. I changed my mind. I'm doing just fine here on my own, which she wasn't too happy with, which is her problem. But unfortunately, another thing is, too, she's with a guy who does have assault charges against him, and since I know the history of my birth father, I didn't want to make that mistake where I was living with someone who was abusive, physically, as well as a person who would use me for their advantage. So I said no. And then another thing that happened was I was still in contact with her. She basically said, oh, I wish we could still live together, and she was still asking me for money and harassing me, sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I started asking my pastors, at least one of my pastors, as well as friends and stuff, because I had just rekindled my relationship with my adoptive mom, since she didn't realize that due to her back pain and stuff that she was hurting me with the words she was using, and she caused emotional abuse. So I just rekindled this relationship, and then I was asking, okay, this person is extremely toxic. I need to get out of this relationship, or I feel the need to get out of this relationship. What do I do? And I kept hearing the same answer over and over. You need to cut her out of your life. And so I finally made that decision to cut my birth mom completely out of my life. I blocked her on Facebook. It got to the point where I had to even change my phone number because she was so toxic and was using me and harassing me and stalking me. She even suggested I get into contact with my birth father, which I did, but from listening to him on the phone, I could tell he was a very negative person. And I knew his history. I knew his background of being an abusive person physically. And so I cut off ties with him too. I didn't even, after I talked to him that one time, I blocked him on Facebook. And I'm glad he doesn't have my new number, as well as my birth mom. And now I'm basically getting rid of everything that is my birth mom's, because I do not want her to have an excuse to come over to my apartment, basically. And around that time, I was also addicted to Pepsi. I was drinking 3 to 4 cans a day, and then to try to lower my stress levels. And I basically said, and one night I went to bed, and due to me having heart surgery when I was just days old, I have a heart murmur. I have a mild heart murmur. And so when I went to bed, my heart was just racing. And that's when I said to myself, I can't keep treating my body this way. I can't keep doing this. And so August will be my 5th month without caffeine in my system. Basically around this time, I was also getting into wrestling and basically watching wrestling. And so basically one of my heroes of wrestling is Roddy Piper, because he too had a rough upbringing. And so anytime I was going through something hard, I would watch his interviews and stuff, and I could always picture him telling me in my head, stay strong, don't quit. And I know he would be proud of me for what I've gone through and what I've done, because honestly, I think he would have done the same thing. But I think instead of him cutting off ties, I think he probably would have put my birth mom into a sleeper hold if he were here, which I can't do. But there are times where, yeah, I would or another one of my heroes is Chris Jericho. And so I would also picture him like giving the code breaker to my birth mom at times. And so that's basically what I envisioned myself doing, is giving my birth mom a code breaker out of my life and basically saying, sorry, I can't do this anymore. And anyway, that is my story. Please leave your questions and comments below for me in the comment section, either on Facebook or on YouTube, because I will be sharing this video to YouTube, to Facebook. Anyway, thanks for watching and understanding, and yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.